welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today, it's been a bit, it's been a few weeks. We haven't talked Below Deck Men, but here we are, talking Below Deck Men. We have one more episode left after this episode, so let's kind of just do a little backstory. Honestly, not a lot of a backstory that I want to say, but a bit of a backstory, and then the main focus will be on this episode, which again, not a whole lot I have to say, but we'll talk about it. So I'm not sure if I've talked about it. I don't remember, but we do have our new stew that happened at some point. I can't remember when. I may have talked about it. I just don't remember. But we have our new stew, our girl from Scotland, and she's gonna be floating, going wherever she needs to go, wherever Aesha needs her, and that's where she's gonna be. And I think this is great. I think she's great. I think she's doing a great job. I think she's doing exactly what she needs to be doing to help this boat flow. And I think it's great. But Ellie disagrees. Ellie disagrees. Ellie's like, she's just gonna come in here and, and try to outrank me and take my job and do better than I do and outrank me and all of this. And it's just like, you should want the help. Why are we complaining about it getting extra hands? Brie, on the other hand, like, this is great. Like, maybe I can learn something from her. She can help with the laundry and everything. It's great. She's loving it. Ellie, on the other hand, and the thing that's pissing me off about Ellie is, like, for the past, 3 episodes, she's like Sam talking about Devin. She can't stop talking about the new girl. She can't stop talking about how Aesha is not treating me right anymore. She can't stop herself. And it's just like, you need to take accountability for the things that you're doing wrong. You're not perfect at this job. And you seem to think you are. You're not. And, it's just, when she goes to Aesha, I think it was last week's episode, when she goes to Aesha, she's just like, I really want to take the opportunity since this is the last charter or the second last charter. It might have been the second last charter. And, to learn some stuff about being a chief stew. And of course, Aisha's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, it's like, well, this is going to give her more of a power trip. And we'll talk about it more in the most recent episode. But this will give her a power trip. And I don't think Ellie is anywhere near ready to be a chief stew. And it's not that she isn't dedicated to the job. She doesn't maybe care about the job or anything like that. But delegating, I mean, she's got that down pat. But delegating doesn't mean bossing people. Delegating doesn't have to be bossing people around. And that's the part that she hasn't quite figured out yet, how not to do. And then that's maybe the only thing, because her attitude towards people is horrible. You can't talk down to people the way you do. You're never going to get the results you want because your underlings are going to be like, screw you. And she's not ready for this. She's just not. But anyway, you just say smaller boats. Maybe a smaller boat would be better for her. But I really don't know. I mean, again, I think that's kind of the biggest thing. And the other thing that kind of was developing was, is Joe gonna hook up with Carrie or not? That's her name, the new stew. For him to just basically be like, oh, we're better as friends. Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. And the sky isn't blue. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's kind of the one thing. And I think the one thing that happened, I think the episode last week was he kind of flirted with Ellie, and he didn't, close that deal, and it pissed her off because he was all over Carrie, who was her bunkie, so great. But Yeah, that happened. And then the only other thing is we finally have a laundry system and it's colored beads. Why didn't she say something sooner? This could have been a done deal, like a million charters ago. But she's doing it now. She's doing a great job, and I think we're good to go. And I think that's kind of the catch up and kind of what's happened thus far to make this episode make sense. But again, I think the one thing, the biggest thing is Ellie and how she's treating everybody else. You know, 1 minute bossing people around on the decorations. Oh, this should be here, or this should be there. And she's not, it's not what you're saying, but it's how you do it. And she has no tact about her. And the one thing that I loved is that Aisha is kind of there observing and seeing kind of what's happening. And when she talks to Carrie prior to her saying anything to Ellie, she says to her, like, yeah, it does feel like she kind of bosses around a little bit and it's confusing, which it would be if I'm getting instructions one way from my boss, but then you're saying something else. And how do I not know that didn't come from the boss? You know, I don't know. So I have to like take it at face value and trust that you're telling me the truth. It's a lot. And the thing that really did it, as Aisha says, broke the camel's back for her, was so you blink and you miss it. Aisha mentions to Jono over the mic, we're clearing, which gives him the indication that the next chorus is coming. I don't even know, was it 1, 2, 3 minutes later? Ellie does something over the radio to Jono saying, we're clearing. And Aisha's like, what the hell? Because that's something she should be doing, not the other girls. But this one is taking it upon herself to be like, oh, we're clearing. No, no, no. And Aisha says as much. She's like, no, no, no. That shouldn't be happening. That's never happened before. All of a sudden it's happening now. Like, what's happening? And it also confuses Jono. And she does eventually say, like, that's it. That's the thing that did it. And she does eventually go over to Ellie and say to her, finally, the moment we've all been waiting for from since this all started is her saying, you're overstepping. It's like you're trying to take over. And of course, Ellie's gonna be like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing any of those things. I'm not doing any of that. But yeah, it's too much. And of course she's like, I don't know why she's picking on me. Like, why is she picking on me? Like, she's trying to make me the scapegoat. Well, if the goat fits. You know what I mean? This is so ridiculous. But I mean, that's kind of it on Ellie. I mean, these guys are lovely. They're queer and they're living life. And of course, Jono being queer, it's kind of gravitates towards it. But Captain Sandy's gonna propose real soon. We're getting down to the wire. So that's the only other thing that I missed anything. But yeah, I don't really have much else that I want to say. I mean, so I think that's it. I think we can end it here. And this was short, but I think we can end it here. As a reminder, you're getting this, I believe, Sunday morning. So that means B90, episode 3, and the first episode of Golden Bachelorette. You should be getting those on Tuesday. That's the plan. But we'll see how it goes. If anything changes, I will make announcements on the socials. But that is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps, every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there. And you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.